Hey everyone, this is Jennifer with Midwest Wilderness Connections, and I was going to speak to you a little bit about the website because there's several things here that I think may be of interest to folks. The first is, I've got the business here where, you can view all the botanical bas-relief artwork, also my fine art photo prints, the greeting cards, etc. are all on here. But then also, when you go to the menu, you can see here that the first link below the home link is the Midwest Wilderness Connections Natural Areas website. Click on that link. And this is a website where I've compiled information about natural areas throughout the Midwest. Right now, primarily sites in Iowa and Illinois, but I'm also starting to add sites from other Midwest states like Minnesota, Wisconsin, Indiana, etc. But what you can do is you can, in the upper left-hand corner, you see the three lines. You can click there. And then it pulls down a menu. And so if you see the natural areas, you see the little arrows that point downwards. Those are called carrots. You can use those arrows, like here, the reconnecting people with their natural history. Right now, the carrot's pointing upwards because the drop-down menu is displayed. But if I click that arrow again, you can see it hides the menu. But let me click that carrot that's now pointing downwards to open that menu again. And you can see the first link is here to natural areas. So I'm going to drop down that carrot. So here, again, same thing. You can drop down if you're interested in Illinois natural areas. You click, and then there's that full list of what I've got site profiles for so far in Illinois, Iowa, and I do have, as you see here, like Duke Prairie. You can see it has East Central, EC, Iowa, or Central Iowa here in the list, and they're listed alphabetically. But let's go back up to the top and let me go backwards because I just clicked faster than. Let's go back in. So I showed you there that those are the drop downs, the carrots we just talked about. Well, if you don't use the carrot, if you just click, and we're just going to click on Iowa natural areas, it'll bring you to an Iowa specific page, and it's going to take a second to load, because there's a really cool map that's embedded at the bottom that takes a little bit to load and kind of pops you down. So it's one of those things that can be a little bit irritating, but if you understand what's going on, it's worth the wait. But if you scroll down, as you can see here, I just give a little bit of information about what you can find on this page. And then also, if you've got sites that you have would like to help me develop site profiles for, with information, photos, etc., maps, I'd love to collaborate with you and get it on the website, because the purpose of this for me is to educate people about these locations. It's extremely important that people know that they exist, how beautiful they are, why they're important. Those are the types of things that make people value these natural areas and are going to want to support them, protect them, fund them. And so this is kind of my way of trying to promote some of these areas and make sure that people are aware of them and that they are worthy of our attention. So I'm just going to zip over. You can see here in the state, I've broken up the natural areas in the different regions of the state. And so we're just going to click on East Central Iowa. That's where I'm from, so I'm going to give East Central Iowa some love. And probably my favorite site of all, we're just going to pick the Rochester Cemetery, Prairie, and Savannah. So you can see here, click on the link. And here you can see photos that I've taken at the site. I've got some videos of the site. I also have here different, same thing here with the map. The map, when the page loads, it's going to try to zip you down to the bottom of the page. Just scroll back to the top. But here you can see I've looked at the color infrared, the historic GLO vegetation for the site, just the natural color aerial photos, the LiDAR hill shade, so you can see the relief, the highs and lows across the site. So there's some interesting maps there for you to take a look at, because what's really cool is you use these maps as you look, and you can see you're going to have different plants and plant communities, on the tops of hills versus on the slope of the hill, or down in the valleys of the hill, or on hill slopes that face north versus hill slopes that face south, etc., etc. And so when you look at like this hillshade map, that can help you look and say, oh, when I go to this site, if I'm looking for a particular type of plant that likes a particular type of habitat or an animal, or if you want to make sure that you really get you see the diversity of a site, you can look at this map and say, okay, I got to make sure that I really hit this location, this location, this location, to make sure that I get a good representation of what's out here and not just spend all my time in one little nook. So that's just kind of some of the ways that I go, I go to these sites and what I'm looking for when deciding what areas to spend time in at each of these locations. Also, I have tables. Some of these tables are just based on my species lists that I've put together from my site visits. There are some tables, information from other sources as well. If I used other sources, you'll see here down below, I've got information, I've got citations for papers or different resources that I use to compile some of these lists in the information that I have on the page. If you would like to submit records, if you look through my list and you see I'm missing something, I do have a link here. It says click here if you would like to submit records of plants and wildlife you've seen at this location, and it'll pop you over to a table where you can fill out that information, send it in to me. It also tells you like the bloom periods for the plants, where it's coming from. So here I've got a list of the plants by scientific name, the common name, and you can see here the bloom periods. So at the top of the table, I'm just showing the growing season months. So March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. And what you can see is the plant, like this slender three-seeded Mercury, it blooms June, July, August, and September. That's why it's shaded green. And that has green flowers, or flowers that are inconspicuous. So that's why it's green. But if you come down like this Western Yarrow, it's May through August and it's white, so that has white flowers. The tall agrimony is the yellow. June through August is when it blooms. And so I kind of color coordinated as I went through here all the different plants, so you can get a really quick look that, like, maybe you're visiting the site in June, you can kind of zip down this list and say, these are the species that I am likely to see blooming. Or maybe you've got a particular species that you are really looking for and you want to see it in bloom. This table might be able to help you decide when to visit the location. Also, This one I haven't completed too much here. I've got a longer list. I'm still going through data and populating things, but yeah, I've got a list of the birds, reptiles and amphibians that I've seen on the site, the insects and arachnids. Don't have a list of mammals on there yet, and so that is what's going on there with the species lists. And if there is a iNaturalist, what I'll do is I'll pop in, when I'm done with this, I'll pop into a site profile that has a link to the, if there are iNaturalist species lists, I've got a link that'll take you into iNaturalist. So, you know, like I said, if you see that there aren't species on my list, if you zip over into iNaturalist, you can document all of your observations of plants and animals on iNaturalist without submitting them to me, which is nice because then that data and that information is available to everyone, and it's very useful to scientists who are working with these species and trying to document distributions and locations. And so it's actually a better place to turn in information to me. iNaturalist is free to use. It's fairly simple. I'm going to do a tutorial on it at some point here. I'll post it so everybody can take a look at it. But I'm actually going through. You have to have sound recordings, photographs to document your records. So you can't just go in and say I saw this bird. You've got to have a photo of it. You've got to have a recording of it. Like I'm going through all of my photos from all of the years, and I'm submitting all those records to iNaturalist actually as we speak. So, like I said, more about iNaturalist later. But here I've got kind of a background information on the Rochester Cemetery, which is absolutely fabulous. If you've never been there, you've got to check it out. And it has a really good location. It's just a few miles off of Interstate 80 to the north in Iowa. It's between the Quad Cities and Iowa City. And so if you're traveling on Interstate 80 through Iowa and you're in that general area, it might be something you want to pop up and visit. I also have links here to other documents or information. I used to work for the USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service, which is USDA NRCS, and so soil mapping and things. This is another way that you can really get a feeling for a site and figure out what kind of plant communities may occur on a location, which then also just, that builds into the animal communities, etc., etc. So I do have a link here for that. We will click on that link. And here is the soil map for that location. Like majority of the site here, you can see the code is 293E. So we will go down to the legend. And 293E, that's a Fayette Chelsea Tel Complex, 9 to 18% slopes. And the acreage and the percent there. So let's get back to the main page, close that soil map. And then I've got links to interesting literature. And again, here, if you are familiar with literature or sources that I should have listed on these pages, go ahead and shoot me an email. It's JAC with the @ symbol, Midwest Wilderness Connections, which is all one word, .com. And so if you send me an email with links or reference information, I will zip in and update it as quickly as I can. Be patient with me because this is just something that I do out of the kindness of my heart. So sometimes it takes me a little bit to get to things, but I do get there sooner or later. I also do have here, I've got a comment form and a guest book that how likely are you to suggest this site for others to visit, and you can put in a little bit of information why and submit that, and that way other people who are looking at this, like you can see this site's got 3 ratings so far, 5 stars all the way across, and talks to people who have submitted you know, why do they like this site so much, what should you be looking for. So let's go back. Okay, so the map I keep talking about, and well, the map that I told you that's at the bottom here, let's see if this works. It used to work fairly well in the mobile app, but Google updated the website, so let's see what happens, because this is the first time I've tried it since Google updated their layout for their Google sites. But for the map to work, you've got to get this screen, you've got to get down in this blue box, down to the bottom left of it, and click say do not show this splash screen again. Scroll, go over to the bottom right of it and click the OK button. Now what I can do is I can pinch with my fingers, you know, like you do on a cell phone, pinching in and out, and you have a map, and it looks like I cannot do it. You know what, guys, I'm gonna do for the mobile phone users, I am going to put a link to this map. There's an online mapper through the Iowa geographic map server. They've got a interactive map, and you can turn on different layers, and you can turn on layers of nature preserves, state parks, things of that sort, that are really cool. So, you know, say you're going to go to the Rochester Cemetery, you can go to this map, you can turn on some of these different layers, and it'll show you other natural areas in the general location that you might want to visit as well. So I tried to kind of consolidate as much information onto the page as possible. The other thing too that's really helpful to people is about the cemetery. It's not just about what you can find there as far as plants and animals goes, but it also gives you information about the site, like whether or not there is a parking lot, whether or not there are mown trails or paved trails, handicapped access, restrooms, things of that sort. And so that could also help you as well in planning your visit. So let's go back out. I told you guys we would take a look at a site. Let me find a site that I know is going to have an iNaturalist. We'll try Kelso Prairie State Preserve. Oh, that's the other thing I have. Here we go. On some of them, if it's available, eBird, which is online, if eBird has a field checklist, that's a PDF, so you can print this out, take it with you, and you can document birds at the site. I put a link to the PDF here on my website, just to make it quick and simple. No, this one doesn't have. So let's go back. Let's look at Illinois. We'll go to the Black Hawk Historic Site. There's that eBird checklist. Here we go. And here is the link to iNaturalist. And you can see here all the pictures, and you can click and say view more observations near Blackhawk State Park. Just click on that. It's going to bop you right over to eBird. Or not eBird, I'm sorry, iNaturalist. And then you can start going through here. You can see that somebody has documented bracket fungi, the location, etc. So, also on the website, besides these links to some natural areas, I've also got a link here. It's a list of, you can see here I've got a map of different cemetery prairies in the Midwest. I've got a list here. It is not all inclusive. Everything that's on the map is not, it's not in this list. So that's a work in progress. Anybody who wants to help with that, I am more than happy to work with you on that. The other thing I have is I've got trip loops. So I've got like a lower Iowa Cedar River trip loop on the weekends. If I go out with my family, you know, for a 1 day or a 2 day, and we want to do a loop, like this would be our loop going downriver, down the Mississippi River in Iowa from the Quad Cities. The locations that we might hit all along the way, on the way down and back to the Quad Cities, since that's the major population area in that general location. Again, these are all really going to be central around the Quad Cities right now, because that's what I'm familiar with. Again, I'm more than happy to work with others to expand that. I also have a calendar of events that if there are, expand this. I've got a lot of the Native Plant Society, if they've got Google calendars or things. I linked to that, so let's just click here on one of these, and you can see there's seed collection in the Les Hills near Pesca in on the October 4th from 5 to 7. So a lot of this stuff is plant related right now. The Iowa Nature Summit is on the 16th of November. So that may be of use to you as well. And how I got into the calendar, I mean, this is just a list view, but if you want to get into the full calendar, you can see the gray box with a white box with an arrow that's pointing up to the upper right hand side. If you click that, that's what expands the calendar. You hit the back button and it'll take you right back to my website. Let's go back to the menu. I gave several professional webinars on restoring native plant communities, managing native plant communities, stream visual assessment, information about site-appropriate seed for restorations, things of that sort. So I did put links for those here, and then the USDA NRCS, they have a lot of webinars, professional webinars, really great webinars. And so I've got a link to their conservationwebinars.net website. And then last but not least, I do have a list of natural resource information and links about parks and preserves, flora references, kind of Iowa, Illinois, fauna references, all kinds of stuff, fossils, odonates, which are your dragonflies, damselflies, about, you know, all sorts of things. Here at the end, there's also a table. If you just click on it, and I've got it organized here. You know, whatever my link is, if it's regarding amphibians and reptiles, birds, butterflies, crayfish, etc., what region or state the resource really focuses on, the name of the site or the source, and then the link to the document or the website where you can find that information. So, like I said, I just tried to roll as many things into one that could help people better understand the sites near them, the opportunities, and to get involved, get out there, have a great experience, and enjoy these places as much as I do. So that is my run through. Thank you very much for taking the time, and I look forward to sharing more information with you guys in the near future. Alrighty, bye-bye.